Ozzy saw me in the crowd and he's just like, that goth dude knows how to rock. Come on! I'm like, yes! People are like, what, Cobra, what's your setup looking like on the guitar, man? And I got that one song where it's like, long live Ozzy, king of screams. Hail King Cobra, midnight streams. With Danny, Filth, and Satan, we fight. Trolls we crush, eternal might.
So if you've been living under a rock, you might have missed the fact that Ozzy Osbourne, KingCobraJFS's idol, has passed away at the age of 76 years old. And obviously, Cobes isn't responding the greatest. And, you know, as I'm recording this video, I just saw that Hulk Hogan has died. So now DSP is probably going to have a bad time. I mean, all of these people's idols online, it's falling apart. It's not looking good. Now, Cobes made basically an hour-long tribute video. I don't really know what to call it because half the time he spends complaining about trolls online, as you would expect. But there are some tidbits here and there that I thought were interesting, and I feel like a lot of people, it's kind of interesting because Ozzy Osbourne obviously had a great impact on the music world and rock and roll in general, and the amount of people I saw talking about him, talking about his music, Black Sabbath, all that was pretty crazy. But what was even crazier were the amount of people I saw getting comments talking about how they were concerned about Josh and if he was going to be okay. Even I made a post about it that did decently well on my Twitter, and it's like the influence has gone very far, and the man, he's going to have to figure out how to move forward, and that's going to be difficult for somebody that literally emulates and apes the personality of somebody else and makes it their own personality. So we'll get into it a little bit later, but when all this was going down and when everybody found out that Ozzy had passed, you know, you're sitting there expecting maybe a stream, maybe a dedication video or something. Nah, Cobes instead is gonna post 3 separate videos that are all food hack related.
We got some Frang everything bagels. I'll be right back. I don't know if you're grab a knife for this. We got it split in half. Now we're going to put it in the toaster. Just a light toast. Ooh, look how pretty that looks. I'll leave it as is.
So his first food hack that he comes up with is making a bagel with jalapeno cream cheese, some bacon bits, and some cheese on top. He keeps calling it a lox bagel. Now, maybe off screen he added some and keeps mentioning that this is a lox bagel, but I'm not seeing the evidence of it. Everybody is sitting here pondering, curious as to why he hasn't mentioned, because obviously these videos didn't come out before Ozzy's passing, they came out after Ozzy's passing. Now, I schedule videos, don't get me wrong, there are videos I have set up for the future, but you would think that maybe we postpone some things and we focus on your one true idol, but instead he's just going to keep on chowing down.
What are we thinking, YouTube? With some good looking bagels or what? They're nice and toasted. And there you have it, Cobra's cheddar bacon jalapeno bagels and lox. Nice and toasted too. Hold up.
You gotta love that saliva pulled tubes as he's just devouring his meal. Now, I think that there's a chance that he just recorded this food hack in the morning or something, or the day before, and he was gonna post it later on in the day. I don't really know if Cobra knows how to or even schedules any videos, because it seems odd that you would just clump all your recordings at once and just post them online. Now, the real interesting tidbit, the real interesting set of videos were the next 2 that he calls eating scrimp. He's eating a nice collection of shrimps, but he keeps calling them scrimps. And we finally get our first acknowledgement of Ozzy's passing in between the just hell-bringing screeches of him coughing and talking about how he's going to combine the cocktail sauce with cheddar cheese sauce and some bacon bits.
Got this giant ring of shrimp. And it came with a little bit of that shrimp dip sauce right there, just like that. I found out Osman died, and I'm not too thrilled about it. I'll tell you that right now, but...
So we got our cool man glasses on, we're in the Matrix. Cobra explains a little bit later in a separate video that his dad Clint came over and he was the one that actually let him know that Ozman had passed away, and it's because apparently Cobra has broke another phone. So the whole story seems a bit odd to me, because in my head I'd be like, Cobra saw that Ozzy passed away, went into a fit of rage and destroyed another phone. He's gonna try and take a different point of view with that and just say he's completely naive to it, probably in a drunken stupor. He knows he has to make a food hack, and he's gonna have some delicious scrimps. He's gonna just devour those bad boys, and he has his glasses on to conceal the fact that he has just been sobbing and crying all day. It's been a rough day in the Cobraverse, but don't worry, we got some raw scrimps that probably have been sitting on his front stoop from a DoorDash driver probably the entire day. He's going to develop some sort of foodborne illness, and that'll be pretty epic, but don't worry, he's got this delicious concoction of whatever in the cocktail sauce in order to cheer him right up.
That scrimp sauce. When you're eating these shrimp, you can squeeze the tail, get all the meat out, and we're gonna dunk it in that scrimp sauce. Just came up with a really dangerously unhealthy cocktail shrimp, like the bacon bits on top right there. Oh my god.
Now, me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of raw shrimp. I'm also not a really big fan of cocktail sauce. So maybe Cobra's on to something. I don't really think, processed cheese whiz and artificial bacon bits mixed with cocktail sauce would necessarily conjure up something that's super delicious. But we know he's in his bag right now. He's really sad. He's really depressed. And he claims that because of this harsh time in his life, that his fans are starting to send him things. He's ran out of cigarettes. He's ran out of alcohol. But since Ozzy has passed, his fans are chipping in, and they're ready to try and cheer our bad boy up.
Well, idol Ozzy Osbourne has passed away, and I am absolutely just devastated. I've literally cried so much in the last couple of hours that my eyes hurt from crying. Like, I am so over it. Over 2025. You know what I really like about Ozzy Osbourne the most? How humble he is. And he stayed humble his entire life. Yeah, it sucks. Ozzy Osbourne was like my John Lennon, I worship the ground that man walks on.
And this is obviously a dilemma that we might go in opposite directions about opinions about, where I feel like Josh's obsession with Ozzy Osbourne, creating him as his idol, I don't have problems with people that necessarily want to look up to people, but Cobra literally emulated his entire persona and has made it his own, but just more of a downtrodden, alcoholic, degenerate version of that of that image, which is kind of crazy because Ozzy made it to 76 years old, and Cobra has been talking about how he thought he was going to live to be 100 years old. 76 years old, and all of the crazy partying shenanigans that went on with his life, it's pretty impressive. And we're looking at a man right now who is probably going to spiral into despair, spiral into sadness, and it's only going to get worse because Cobra has just progressively gotten more and more bloated, more and more just kind of circling the drain, to be completely honest. I don't know how else to describe it, but the man is probably only going to get worse. And is 40 in the cards for him? I'm like genuinely curious about that. And he's too fixated on his idol. And his idol, if he ever interacted with Josh, if he ever talked to Josh, would say, man, I don't think what you're doing is down the right path, because I've seen videos of Ozzy talking to kids, and his last event was a big charity event for Parkinson's disease and children's hospitals and stuff, and he talked to some kids and was talking about how much time and effort you have to put into to get to where he was and how successful he's been. And Josh is kind of the opposite of that. He's got this like bravado, this ego built into his music and his YouTube career, but he actually doesn't put any effort into improving. He's perfectly content, and he has been for years and years and years, just putting out the same content as always, never really trying to improve his craft. And I don't know if Ozzy would really look that gloatfully at what Cobra has created and where he's gonna go in the future.
You know, my trolls are gonna have fun texting me dumb shit, and I go, how can they get a response or anything if my phone's busted? So I know as soon as I get my phone back, my shit's gonna blow up with, Ozzy died, Josh, Ozzy died, Josh. It's like, yeah. And you know, all my YouTube trolls have been texting me this crap for years. Like, oh, Ozzy's gonna die. I'm like, we're all gonna fucking die. And you're wasting your short life trolling someone who has autism. Like, that's nice.
And I think it's a little bit less of just trying to get under Josh's skin and more everybody else's realization of what I've mentioned, that Josh's personality is intertwined with Ozzy. And when Ozzy's gone, what does Cobra really have to look forward to? You know, I know it's a bit morbid to mention at this point, but, you know, every single stream, he mentions like the same three things. It's like, you know, Walt or Angie or Ellen or whoever, you know, the trolls, and then Ozzy Osbourne. And now one of the major pillars that have been keeping the Boglum intact has fallen apart. And it's like, what is he going to do to fill that void? Probably going to eat more garbage food and drink more. He's not going to try and reform. He's not going to try and change himself. He's not going to try and build himself into an unrealistic image of what Ozzy would want for him, if that makes any sense. Like, he has no real interest in changing his persona, changing his lifestyle, and I think he's just going to keep on keeping on, and he's just going to keep on focusing on the trolls. And that's the thing. It's like, I feel like if I was this in love with whatever, a band, an artist, a musician, or an actor, or whatever, I don't really understand the whole stan culture of people around different people. I have my fair interest in plenty of different musical artists and whatever, and I have my favorites, but like, I'm not going to emulate everything about them. I'm not going to worship the ground that they walk on, you know, and it seems like he can't really get that through his head. And the trolls are just going to keep reiterating that, and they're going to keep mentioning that, and he's just going to keep getting more and more bitter.
I'm wearing my favorite Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt. I own several copies of this t-shirt because it's got a Cobra on the front, which I think is just the coolest shirt ever, dude. Now, if you were to see my living room, you'd see the stacks of guitar magazines, Playboy magazines, all my Ozzy memorabilia stacked. Nice and prim and proper. There's not enough drugs and alcohol to numb the pain that I'm feeling right now. Like, nothing works. It's just always going to be there the rest of my life.
There's a lot of cope and scary messages that Josh is saying in this video. I'm not too positive if Josh has several copies of the exact same shirt. It wouldn't surprise me. He mentions the reason for it, obviously it being Ozzy related, but there's also a snake on it, his favorite things, so you combine the two, it wouldn't surprise me. I would love to see a wardrobe tour of Cobra. Just see, let's really investigate, you know, how often are you washing these clothes? Because our assumption, obviously, is that he wears the same outfit for at least a week at a time, usually, and sometimes it goes much further than that. He has no real reason to change his outfit, outside of, like, a normal person would be like, wow, this is stinky and smelly and dirty, I should change and take a shower. That doesn't really register in his brain, so there's no real inclination for him to want to change his outfit, change his clothes every day. Doesn't really compute with him. And at the same time, he said what I am kind of afraid of, which is I'm just gonna alcohol can't even soothe me. He's gonna try, and we're gonna see here in a little bit that he's gonna start concocting some nice Cobra classics in order to try and soothe the pain. But even he deep down kind of understands that that's probably not gonna save him.
Ozzy's final words on stage when he's just sitting there, you can see him crying. He's just like, "Thank you for all the love and support you've given me and my band and my family over the years. It means the world to me. You have no idea." Ugh. Well, I honestly hoped Ozzy would make it to 100 at least, but what do? You know, the cute chick who dropped off the booze from DoorDash was very sympathetic. She's like, "Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about it. Oh, you're a huge Ozzy fan? Yeah, I just noticed your shirt."
Now, I've always been curious as to whether or not I think that Cobra actually opens the door when people come to DoorDash him things, or if he just leaves on his porch until he remembers that he ordered something, and that's why his meals are usually cold and, you know, the whole shebang. It's not as freshly made as you would expect. But even still, and he goes on to claim that the trolls or the fans or somebody sent him vodka in order to cheer him up, and it's going to try and cheer him up, I guess, at the very least, even though his King of Darkness didn't live to be 100 years old, which obviously plays into the mindset of Josh, where he's just like has the most unrealistic expectations out of life. The amount of people that make it to 100 are not very is not very high, and even I'm pretty sure that Ozzy even lived past the average age of a person from his generation. I think it's lower 70s, and he made it past that. So, like, that's a huge accomplishment. 100 years old is absolutely ludicrous. But knowing how things shake out and how, you know, the trolls always lose and, you know, Cobes always wins, he's probably going to live to be 100 years old. We see him just decaying and falling apart, but I don't know, man. There's some sort of dark magic that has been cast to cheer him up.
So my drinking gets a little worse, just ever so slightly worse. It's nothing new. I've had a bit of a rough year. Three wings to the wind, pissed, shit-faced about Ozzy dying, dude. So I only got the liquid down when I add some of this. I call this Wyoming Night rocket fuel because let's just say that Everclear is like 95% alcohol by volume. To Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness.
So that's just how he's going to spend the rest of his night. I'm assuming that he probably pounded the initial bottle that he allegedly claimed through DoorDash pretty quickly. That would be my assumption. And now he mentioned that he found this bottle of Everclear hiding behind his computer. Ooh, a little treat. You know, it's like you kids go on their little scavenger hunts for Easter eggs and whatever. Cobra, he gets to find nice bottles of liquor hidden around his house when he gets too drunk and forgets where he left them. So, a nice little treat for our boy.
But yeah, I'm absolutely devastated over Ozzy dying. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I just wasn't prepared for it to happen when it did. Like, yesterday was the worst fucking day of my life, dude. I swear, like, I feel so horrible for Ozzy's family and all my fellow Ozzy fans.
And it's kind of sad that this is the saddest day in his life. I don't really know all the, you know, ins and outs of his extended family and whatnot, but I really don't think that you should latch on to somebody that you've never met before in your entire life. You can be influenced by them. You can, you know, take some notes, take some inspirations from them, but to just make it your saddest day ever over a guy who never knew you and never was going to meet you, it's not like it was that far-fetched in the future. But Cobra would go on, and I'm not even going to play clips of it, but he would go on and play some guitar. I could not, you know, I like Black Sabbath, I like some of Ozzy's independent work, but I couldn't really tell what songs Cobes was trying to play. He also listened to like some news broadcast of some news reporter talking about Ozzy passing away, and that's the clip I showed in the beginning where he started to sing a song about him and Ozzy. So To wrap up this video, he just recently put out a little clippy-doo of him complaining about people's responses to Ozzy's passing online. And he's going to take a very centered, even keel, well thought out position on whatever he's trying to get across.
You're sitting there trying to cancel Ozzy Osbourne. Well, it's not going to happen. This whole, oh, you're canceled. Like, cancel culture is stupid. The woke idiots are trying to attack Ozzy Osbourne right after he just fucking died. Piss off. Like, the problem with racism, folks, okay, let me educate you on this. The problem with racism is it exists in every race. You break down the word racism. What's in the word? Race.
He's really the philosopher of our time. You know, he says some very prophetic things at times where I'm just like, that is what's inside that word. Very intriguing, Cobra. Thank you very much. And I don't really have an opinion about all this stuff. I think anytime anything happens to literally any prominent figure online, there's always a stark divide between people that love or people that hate that person, because everybody's human, everybody's flawed, everybody has shortfalls and shortcomings related to their lives. So it's no wonder that some people wouldn't be as happy with certain things that Ozzy did, and other people like Josh will absolutely adore him. That's what makes humans humans. But most people online, it's just a waste of time to get worked up over of when they're complaining or crying or upset about whatever, because they're just going to cherry pick things that make them feel better. And that's the fact of the matter. And I just thought it was worthwhile to include at the end. Josh doesn't really get into much. He kind of got in the cycle where he just keeps repeating things, and he was just talking about racism over and over and over again. So I don't really know, but that's my 2 cents. It seems like it's pretty sad that Ozzy passed away. Big influence, obviously. We'll have to see where this spiral leads Josh, because it can't possibly be very good. But either way, hope you enjoyed. Till next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.